Hello Internet, and today's video is going to be another book opinion. It's specifically a book disappointment and sort of a book rant. I'm going to lean more on disappointment than rant because this series did not necessarily make me angry, but it did severely disappoint me. Like a lot of disappointment happened in this book. I do actually own this book. This is Truthwitch by Susan Dennard, but it is currently on my I hate you shelf. Simply that's where all books that are disappointing or that I really just don't like very much go. All like the lesser books, and that means that they're under my bed. Yeah, so I don't want to drag them out. But Truthwitch by Susan Dennard, if you are not familiar, takes place in a fantasy realm where witches are a common thing. Witches just use the term used to describe people who have magical abilities. Now, Truthwitch is a special ability that's kind of semi-rare, and it means that you can tell whether or not somebody can tell the truth. So it follows a girl who is a Truthwitch and her friend who is a Threadwitch, and they're best friends. They grew up together. They are basically sisters. They're always together, and they make each other better. Now, I've heard a lot of things about this series, a lot of people raving about this series, so I was expecting at least semi-entertainment and a decent storyline, and that is not what I got. I think that this was very poorly put together. If you like this series, good on you. I'm just gonna point out some stuff that I saw as an issue, and if you can totally ignore all of those things, more power to you. I am happy you enjoy yourself. I, however, cannot get over these glaring issues. I cannot. A few things that I heard about this series. One, that the female friendship was just so powerful and great, and it was like one of the best female friendships that like ever did see, and it was great because it had female friendship representation where the females weren't tearing each other down but were raising each other up. Yes, was looking forward to that. And then the next thing was that the author compares this to Avatar: The Last Airbender. I am a huge fan. Now, I always feel like people kind of get into dangerous waters when they start comparing things to other things, because it is not fair for you to expect that one thing. Like, it would not be fair for me to expect Avatar: The Last fucking Airbender when reading this, because that's just, it's incomparable. That's a great show. Like, how can you compare those two things? So I always feel like you kind of get in dangerous waters when you just make one-to-one comparisons. But I was like, oh, she compares this, so it's like it's gonna have interesting characters, an interesting plot, and an interesting magical system. Like, she's just trying to make those, right? Like, that's what she's kind of going for. So I wasn't making a one-to-one comparison because I understand there's a difference, and I try not to judge things based on other things that I love, that which they have been compared to. Alright? I was giving it a fair shot. It's not my love that Avatar the reason why I hate this book. So let's just get started with a few things. So the plot of this book, we are following our two best friends, the Truthwitch and the Threadwitch. Neither which who I remember their name. So we're not talking about which witch is which. We're just going to name them by their witch names. So Truthwitch and Threadwitch are best friends. They kind of get into a lot of shenanigans. Truthwitch is the daughter of the daughter or the niece of a duke. She's like highborn, and the Threadwitch is not well liked because she comes from a tribe of people who are not very well loved. It is never explained why, because Threadwitches and Threadwitch magic is pretty popular, and it is used as a good term, right? So Threadwitches, or specifically the tribe of Threadwitches that this Threadwitch belongs to, is not liked at all, but positive terminology is used towards Threadwitch magic. Like, we are Thread brothers, we are Thread sisters, like stuff like that. Like, so Thread magic is used in a popular light. It's viewed in a popular light. It's used complimentary, like saying that we're Thread brothers, Thread sisters. This is like, I don't know, my Thread lover, like stuff like that. But for some reason, for whatever reason that is not explained at all, Threadwitches, or at least this group of Threadwitches, is not liked. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, I don't understand. Like, nobody likes this group of people, but for some reason uses their magic and, like, the abilities of their magic as complementary. Like, instead of saying, like, oh, this is my blood brother, they're like, this is my thread brother. Like, we have a type bond. So I don't understand that. Next thing, the bond between the Threadwitch and the Truthwitch, I liked that they were friends, but we don't really get to see their friendship, okay? Like, they're friends, you see they support each other, but after the first chapter, they're not even together. They're not even together, okay? Did you hear me? Did I just say that they're not even together for you to actually witness their friendship? Yes, that's exactly what I just said. They are together for, like, a couple scenes in the very, very beginning where you just met them, so you don't really know about their friendship. Like, you just met them, so you haven't got, like, a good feel and judgment of it. And then, in the following scenes, they are separated and longingly wish for one another and to be with their friends because they believe the next one makes them stronger. They're like yin and yang. They make each other stronger, right? And then when they do, on the few periods where they're not separated and conscious and, like, longing for each other's companionship, they are together and one of them is unconscious. Like, they will be together in the same room, but one got hurt and is unconscious, one's asleep or unconscious, one's in a coma. It's ridiculous. The only scenes in which they are together, one is passed out. And the scenes that they're both awake, they're not even in the same realm. They're both in different, complete places, definitely not in the same room at all. Maybe even different continents. They are constantly separated through this whole book. And the only times they're together are in the first scenes where you really do not have a firm grasp of their characters and their friendship. And in following scenes where one of them is always knocked out. So they're never talking. These guys share, like, maybe one passage of dialogue throughout this whole book. You do not get to see their friendship. The only thing that you can trust that they have a great female bond is how much they talk about how they have a great female bond. You don't get examples, you don't see, like, a backstory of how their friendship began, like you kind of get some stuff, but there is never really anything conclusive other than we say we're great friends, so we're obviously great friends, and we rely heavily on each other, even though the next one isn't around at the moment. And they whine about, like, how they don't have their best friend. Like, that's all we have for great female friendship, so I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I'm not gonna trust that it's a great female friendship when the only really evidence I have of that is them saying that we have a great female friendship. I am not seeing it, I'm only told it. And whenever they are together, one of them is knocked the fuck out. So you're not even showing me this. Like, I don't have a problem that best friends were separated and no longer have to, like, wish that the other was close. I am bothered by even the scenes in which they were together. One was always knocked the fuck out, so how am I supposed to trust that they're great friends when literally you just see the other one knocked out and you're like, oh man, she's sleeping right now. What? Alright, moving on. So another problem I had was with the magic system. First, it wasn't very, like, explained very well. There were a lot of distinctions that were failed to be made. First, we're going to talk about Truthwitch powers, since it's the title of the book and it's the main character mainly in this book, the Truthwitch. Now, the powers, as, like, they're given in, like, the little synopsis, is that she can tell when people are lying to her because she can always tell when someone is telling the truth. However, her powers are super fucking lame. You would think, oh my gosh, that means no one can ever lie to her, ever. She can always know the truth. No, the fact she can't. Her powers basically equate to someone really being good at telling, like, lie tales. So, like, you know how people have tells when they lie? Her powers just give her that capability. Not that she can tell when someone's lying, but just it'll tell her, oh yeah, they have obvious tells that they're lying, right? That's basically it. Her powers do not tell her whether or not something is actually true or not, just whether or not somebody believes that thing to be true. Very big distinction, which makes her powers super lame. That means as long as you're good at lying, you can lie to her. As long as you're good at tricking yourself into believing something, you can lie to her. So like here's what I'm gonna give an example. Avatar: The Last Airbender fucking example, since apparently these are similar. So like, you know how Toph can always tell when someone's lying because she can just feel like their blood pumping, their heartbeat raise and stuff through the earth, and she can always tell, right? She can always tell when they're lying because they have tells that tell you when they are lying. But when she confronts Azula is just so steady that Azula can give you the most outrageous lies, but it sounds like the truth because she has no tells. And then you're like, oh my god, there you were fucking amazed by Azula's lying ability. Here it's just like, but as long as like somebody lies to me and I tell you that lie, I don't know any different, and then you just believe the lie. So she can't actually tell whether or not somebody is telling you the truth, right? She can't tell whether or not that somebody is telling her the genuine truth or the truth of the situation. She can only tell whether or not that person believes that they're telling the truth. So as long as you believe it, you can trick a freaking truth seer, a truth witch. So that means her powers are abso-fucking-ly, because her powers just mean like, if you have the like ability and trained yourself to know when people like twitch their eye, when they have lying tells, when like, and that sort of stuff. She's literally no better than a fucking polygraph. Probably even worse. A polygraph are like known to be really bad, right? They're not really accurate sometimes. I feel like the Truth Witch is probably even worse than that. Like, her powers are super fucking lame, and like literally you could have the power of observation and probably be better at discerning whether or not someone is telling the truth than her fucking magic. It's lame, okay? I cannot stress this enough. It is the stupidest magical power I have ever witnessed, okay? Another thing that's not really explained in depth or like at all, there is a lot of things with this magic system you kind of have to infer, but are not like they're not, I guess. I don't want a detailed explanation or you spoon feeding me stuff, but I want to be able to see the magic system there without me having to infer and guess what's going on. So one thing that was never really explained, but I finally figured out after several examples, is that there is this person that they meet who is a wind witch, and he has a person in his crew who is an air witch. And for the longest time, I could not tell what the difference was. They both seem super, super powerful, but the wind witch kept feeling really bad about his abilities. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you guys seem to have the same abilities. I do not see a distinction between them. Come to find out, because I inferred this later on in the second book, that the reason why there is a difference between wind witch and air witch is because it's the four major elements: air, water, like stuff like that. And if you are a witch of a main element, you are more powerful, can do more. So his air witch first mate can do a lot. He's super, super powerful, right? And that is why he can like do more, or at least why it is told that he can do more and is more powerful, even though like their actions, it seems like they're basically the same power. Like, it doesn't, like, action wise, there's not really a distinction. But if you're one of those, then you are super powerful. So like, if you're an airbender, you're super powerful. However, like, okay, use this example from Avatar. So if you're an earthbender, super powerful, you can do absolutely everything. But if you are only a sandbender, you can only bend sand. So an air witch is super, super powerful, can do everything, but a wind witch has less power and can only do like a couple specific things. This was not something that was actually explained. It was something that I inferred in the second book, because all that they told you was a wind witch is less powerful. And I was like, well, when I'm actually seeing what you're showing me, the examples of them using their abilities, they seem to have like the same power level. Like, they seem to do the same amazing things. So what is the real distinction? It's because of that. That's why their names are different. They literally do the same exact thing. Their names are different because apparently there is a power difference, I guess. It doesn't give you a distinct, like, oh, maybe wind witches can only, like, use their powers and blow wind only this fast, but air witches can blow wind faster and have more capabilities like this. They seem to have, like, the same range of abilities. And that's what like got me. Is like I was like, what is the difference? They seem to have the same abilities, but whatever, we're gonna move on. So there's that. That was super disappointing. The magical system's disappointing. There's a lot of stuff in the history. So apparently our Truthwitch is supposed to be like prophesized. Her and her friend are supposed to like save the world. We never know what the prophecy is. We don't know why it was put in place. We don't know anything about it other than they are the chosen ones. So I'm not quite sure how to feel about that. You can't just say someone's the chosen one and then not tell me why, or why you, like, they literally just say, they like go into a pool of water, they come back glowing, and someone's like, you're the fucking chosen ones. And I'm just like, what prophecy? Who said this? What's going on? What did they say? Why was there prophecy? What, like, who are they fighting? Why are they the chosen one? What is happening? I don't know. And I figure the way that you know about the prophecy and everything is if you read the companion novel, Truthwitch, which I don't fucking believe you should have to read a companion novel to figure out what's going on in the main series. You shouldn't have to. That's my personal belief. I shouldn't have to take the time out of my day to read Truthwitch just so that I can attempt to understand what the fuck is going on in your main series. The companion novel should give me more detailed instructions about what's going on, not explain the whole concept to me, okay? So, not a fan. I don't know why they're the chosen ones. I don't know the prophecy. I don't know anything that's going on there. Another thing that makes no fucking sense, that's never explained to you, is there's supposedly a war, there's supposedly a reason why people hate each other, why certain groups hate each other. This is never fucking explained. It's never explained who started the war, why the war was doing, what was going on. And now, they do make like small little attempts to explain, but the explanations are so vague and not even there. Plus, every fucking place feels exactly the same. There are supposedly like different groups, different ethnic cultures, different people with different, like, you know, systems of ruling and belief and all of that sort of stuff. But the one attempt that they made to vaguely explain why one group was fighting with the other group, I was like, you could literally say A and B and I wouldn't know the fucking difference because they all feel like the same people. I don't know their histories, their cultures, their reasons why, what the history of this world is. I know nothing. So I'm trying to infer everything for why they had a war, why they were fighting, all of this. And I feel like that's a little too much to put on the fucking reader when you as the author should have wrote better. I shouldn't have to infer this much knowledge to figure out what is going on. Okay? Personal belief. I don't need you to detail explain me everything, but your world building should at least have the concept that I can figure out what's going on without having to infer everything. That means like I'm like making up stuff so that this makes sense. I shouldn't be making up anything. I shouldn't be like, it should be like just puzzle pieces that I click together, but instead I'm creating brand new pieces so I can make the puzzle, because apparently there's like 50 lost pieces and I kind of got to cut out my own pieces of cardboard to figure out how to fulfill this puzzle and draw it in myself, because all of the puzzle pieces this author threw away in the garbage. I don't know why you think I, as a reader, am responsible for finishing your story, but I do not appreciate it. So yeah, I sound bitter, I sound salty, but I was done. I was done. Like, I shouldn't have to figure out what you meant. You should be telling me how this works. I should, like, but there's no way. The world building was pretty crap. The war was never explained. All the groups of people who are supposed to be distinguishably different all seem to sound, talk, have the same culture. There's no distinguishable difference at all between any of these groups of people. Which, again, if you're trying to compare yourself to Avatar: The Last Airbender, that was something that they did really well. You could tell the difference between Water Nation, Fire Nation, Earth Nation, all of the nations, the Air Nation. You could see the cultural difference. You could see their ethical difference. You could see how they treated each other, their moral difference. You could tell the fucking difference between all of them. You could. You really could. It was an amazing thing. You could see when somebody was from the Water Tribe versus when they were from the Earth Tribe, like Earth Kingdom. You could tell the fucking difference. And this, you cannot. You could tell when in Avatar: The Last Airbender why there was problems with the Fire Nation, why the North and South water tribes had differences and distinctions. You could tell the difference between the different Earth kingdoms and how they were culturally different even within those. Like, you could see the distinctions of why there were wars and fights and why certain people didn't get along with other people. There was a reason. It made sense. You could get the history. You could understand. You can't in this book, and it's infuriating. So this whole book is garbage. You spend too much time trying to figure out what the hell is going on instead of the author explaining it to you. The world building isn't good. The character building isn't good. The powers fucking suck. Like, and then the other thing is, apparently there's a difference between certain powers, but they're all portrayed in the same fucking light, so I can't get a good grasp of what the power difference is. Like, why is it so much better to be an air witch than it is to be a wind witch? There's literally no real explanation or visual example to show you that. There's not. I don't like this book. I feel like I ranted more, but like, honestly, I'm just like really disappointed in the whole thing. Like, I had such high hopes. I thought this was gonna be great. That's why I bought the series, because I was like, you're gonna fucking love this. This sounds like the best thing in the world. No, it was garbage. It's garbage. Garbage. And I didn't like it at all. So, if you like what you're seeing here and you want to see more, click all those buttons down below. If you like Truthwitch, I deeply apologize if you were offended and you made it this far. That's your own thing. I told you I didn't like this book. I tell you every time. I wrote in the title of this that this wasn't a good book. I don't think it's that good. I don't know why people praise it so much. It's not that good. It's not that good. So I'm gonna keep these books simply so I can hate on them, but not so that I can continue with this series, because I'm done, frankly, with this whole series. And if you had anything to add, whether it's in agreement or disagreement, feel free to do so in the comments below. I'm probably not going to agree with you if you did like this book and you have your reasons why. Like, I'm just not. But feel free to write an essay down below of all the things you think I read wrong. I will read it. I'll just look at you and be like, okay, but I'll probably read it. I love reading the essay comments that people leave me when I don't agree with something, or they don't agree with something I say. It brings me joy in my life. But otherwise than that, goodbye, internet.